hair-colored, still Hawaiian shirt-wearing Dahl says. And Midwesterners didn't want that intimidating disco lifestyle shoved down their throats. The anti-disco campaign became the centerpiece of Dahl's morning show with co-host Gary Meyer. They invited listeners to call in with their most hated disco songs. After airing a snippet, Dahl and Meyer would drag the needle across the record and cue the sound of an explosion. The show was wildly popular. When the duo offered membership cards to a Kill Disco organization, 10,000 listeners called the station within a week to sign up. Dahl took the show on the road, packing a suburban Chicago nightclub with a Death to Disco rally. But what was so intimidating about people dancing in nightclubs? Why did rock fans in Chicago hate disco so much? Because it sucked. That's why. The songs, the dancing, the roller skating, the disco balls, the heavy makeup. It was all so massive, so goofy and over the top. Andy Warhol, Studio 54, Skate Town, USA, Disco Duck. People were getting sick of this stuff. Besides, in order to make it with a lady, during the disco craze, a guy had to learn how to dance and wear a fancy suit. It was an outrage. It's also possible these rock fans hated disco because black and gay people liked it, although nobody talked about that in public. Whatever the reason, the backlash was inevitable. Disco needed to be destroyed, and Dahl appointed himself the Pied Piper for this enraged crowd. He found a compatriot in 28-year-old Mike Veck, a failed rock guitarist. "I loathed disco," Veck said later. Veck happened to have an excellent forum for what would become the decisive event in Dahl's campaign, Comiskey Park, home of the Chicago White Sox. He was the son of then Sox owner Bill Veck, a 75-year-old baseball legend. When he owned the Cleveland Indians, the elder Veck made Larry Doby the first black player in the American League. With his father's permission, Mike Veck and Dahl hatched a plan. On July 12, 1979, the Chicago White Sox were to play a night doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers at Comiskey. In the days leading up to the game, Dahl announced on the air that White Sox fans could enter the park for just 98 cents if they brought a disco record. Sister Sledge, Bee Gees, I Will Survive. It didn't matter. Everything would be obliterated. The Sox averaged 16,000 fans at their home games that year, and they expected a few thousand people more than usual because of Dahl's stunt. They were completely unprepared for the army of 59,000 fans who showed up at the first game, carrying stacks of Bee Gees albums in their arms. Another 15,000 spilled along the surrounding South Side streets. They wore Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath t-shirts, smashed bottles on the ground, smoked God knows what, and chanted their almighty rallying cry, "Disco sucks!" In the stands, sharp-edged records flew like frisbees. The players were clearly unsettled. The Tigers' Ron LaFleur wore his batting helmet in center field during the first game. Dahl was surprised and nervous. He had prepared for a monumental failure, not thousands of minions waiting for him to lead. Wearing a green army helmet the size of a fishbowl and a matching jacket with wide lapels, looking like a hippie Colonel Klink, Dahl arrived in center field in a military jeep between the two games. "I didn't think that anyone would even show up," Dahl says today. The Sox fireworks crew had rigged crates of records to explode with dynamite. He managed a few incomprehensible screams and his best anti-disco catchphrase from the radio, borrowed from a popular Second City TV sketch of the time. "That blowed up real good." It worked. Unwittingly, he rallied 10,000 fans to storm the field, climbing down the foul poles and turning the record explosion in center field into a raging bonfire. Sox officials hesitated to call in the cops for fear of stirring things up even further. They allowed fans to linger, shredding the dirt and turf beyond recognition. The senior Veck and legendary baseball announcer Harry Carey impotently attempted to exhort people back to their seats over the loudspeaker. For 37 minutes, Sox fans, disco haters, and all-purpose rabble-rousers united in a massive jamboree of public destruction. One such Sox fan was a 21-year-old Southside.